War does not always end when the battle is over. In this quiet, haunting novel, William Faulkner shows us a soldier who returns home, but never truly returns to life. Soldier's Pay is not about heroism, it is about silence, loss, and the invisible cost of war. Welcome to HoloReads, where forgotten emotions find a voice.
Soldier's Pay by William Faulkner, Chapter 1. Soldier, the hushed plaint of wind in stricken trees shivers the grass in path and lane, and grief and time are tideless golden seas. Hush, hush, he's home again. Achilles, did you shave this morning, cadet? Mercury, yes, sir. Achilles, what whisk, cadet? Mercury, issue, sir. Achilles, carry on, cadet. From an old play about 1900 and something. Lo, Julian, number blank, late a flying cadet, umptieth squadron, air service, known as One Wing by the other embryonic aces of his flight, regarded the world with a yellow and disgruntled eye. He suffered the same jaundice that many a more booted one than he did, from flight commanders through generals to the ambrosial single-barred, not to mention that inexplicable beast of the field which the French so beautifully call an aspiring aviator. They had stopped the war on him. So he sat in a smouldering of disgusted sorrow, not even enjoying his Pullman prerogatives, spitting on his thumb his hat with its accursed white band. "Had your nose in the wind, hey, buddy?" said Yap Hank, going home and smelling to high heaven of bad whiskey. "Ah, go to hell," he returned sourly, and Yap Hank doffed his tortured hat. "Why, sure, General, or should I have said Lieutenant? Excuse me, madam. I got gas doing KP, and my sight ain't been the same since. On to Berlin. Yes, sure, we're on to Berlin. I'm on to you, Berlin. I got your number. Number no 1,000, no 100 and naughty naught. Private, very private. Joe Gilligan. Late for parade, late for fatigue, late for breakfast when breakfast is late. The Statue of Liberty ain't never seen me, and if she do, she'll have to bout face." Cadet Lowe raised a sophisticated eye. "Say, what you drinking anyway?" "Brother, I don't know. Fellow that makes it was give a congressional medal last Tuesday 'cause he has got a plan to stop the war. Enlist all the Dutchmen in our army and make 'em drink so much of his stuff a day for 40 days, see? Ruin any war. Get the idea? I'll say, won't know whether it's a war or a dance, huh? Sure, they can tell. The women will all be dancing. Listen, I had a swell Jane, and she said, 'For Christ's sake, you can't dance.' And I said, 'Like hell I can't.' And we was dancing, and she said, 'What are you anyways?' And I says, 'What do you want to know for? I can dance as well as any general or major or even a sergeant, 'cause I just win 400 in a poker game.' And she said, 'Oh, did you?' And I said, 'Sure, stick with me, kid.' And she said, 'Where is it?' Only I wouldn't show it to her, and then this fellow came up to her and said, 'Are you dancing this one?' And she said, 'Sure I am. This bird don't dance.' Well, he was a sergeant, the biggest one I ever seen. Say he was like that fellow in Arkansas that had some trouble with a nigger, and a friend said to him, 'Well, I hear you killed a nigger yesterday.' And he said, 'Yes, weighed 200 pounds, like a bear.' He took the lurching of the train limberly, and Cadet Lowe said, 'For Christ's sake.' 'Sure,' agreed the other. 'She won't hurt you, though. I done tried it. My dog won't drink none of it, of course, but then he got bad ways hanging around Brigade HQ. He's the one trophy of the war I got. Something wasn't never bawled out by a shaved tail for not saluting. Say, would you kindly like to take a little something to keep off the somniferous dews of this goddamn country? The honor is all mine, and you won't mind it much after the first 2 drinks. Makes me homesick, like a garage. Ever work in a garage?" Sitting on the floor between 2 seats was Yap Hank's traveling companion, trying to ignite his blade and sodden cigar. Like devastated France, thought Cadet Lowe, swimming his memory through the adenoidal reminiscences of Captain Blythe, an RAF pilot delegated to temporarily reinforce their democracy. "Why, poor soldier," said his friend tearfully, "all alone in no man's land and no matches. Ain't war hell, I ask you?" He tried to push the other over with his leg, then he fell to kicking him slowly. "Move over, you ancient mariner. Move over, you goddamn bastard." Alas, poor jerks or something. I seen that in a play, see? Good line. Come on, here's General Pershing come to have a drink with the poor soldiers. He addressed Cadet Lowe. Look at him, ain't he sodden in depravity? Battle of Cognac, the man on the floor muttered. 10 men killed, maybe 15, maybe 100. Poor children at home saying, Alice, where art thou? Yeah, Alice, where in hell are you? That other bottle. What in hell have you done with it? Keeping it to swim in when you get home? The man on the floor weeping said, You've wronged me as ever man wronged. Accuse me of hiding mortgage on house. Then take this soul and body. Take all. Ravish me, big boy. Ravish a bottle of vinegar juice out of you anyway, the other muttered, busy beneath the seat. He rose triumphant, clutching the fresh bottle. Hark! The sound of battle and the laughing horses draws near. But shall they dull this poor unworthy head? No. But I would like to have seen one of them laughing horses. Must have been lady horses altogether. Your extreme highness, with ceremony, extending the bottle, will you be kind enough to kindly condescend to honor these kind but unworthy strangers in a foreign land? Cadet Lowe accepted the bottle, drank briefly, gagged, and spat his drink. The other supporting him massaged his back. Come on, they don't nothing taste that bad. Kindly cupping Lowe's opposite shoulder in his palm, he forced the bottle mouthward again. Lowe released the bottle, defending himself. Try again. I got you. Drink it now. Jesus Christ, said Cadet Lowe, averting his head. Passengers were interested and Yap Hank soothed him. No, they won't nothing hurt you. You're among friends. Us soldiers gotta stick together in a foreign country like this. Come on, drink her down. She ain't worth nothing to no one. Spit on his legs like that. Hell, man, I can't drink it. Why, sure you can. Listen, think of flowers. Think of your poor gray-haired mother banging on the front gate and sobbing her gray-haired heart out. Listen, think of having to go to work again when you get home. If war hell, I would have been a corporal at least if she'd just hung on another year. Hell, I can't. Why, you got to, his new friend told him kindly, pushing the bottle suddenly in his mouth and tilting it, to be slotted or to swallow, were his choices, so he drank and retained it. His belly rose and hung, then sank, reluctant. There now, wasn't so bad, was it? Remember, it hurts me to see my good liquor going down more than it does you. But she do kind of smack of gasoline, don't she? Cadet Lowe's outraged stomach heaved at its muscular moorings like a captive balloon. He gaped, and his vitals coiled coldly in a passionate ecstasy. His friend again thrust the bottle in his mouth. Drink quick. You gotta protect your investment, you know. His private parts slutted, washed back to his gulping, and a sweet fire ran through him, and the Pullman conductor came and regarded them in helpless disgust. "'Tention," said Yapshank, springing to his feet. "Beware of officers. Rise, men, and salute the Admiral here." He took the conductor's hand and held it. "Boys, this man commanded the Navy," he said. "When the enemy tried to capture Coney Island, he was there, or somewhere between there and Chicago anyway. Wasn't you, Colonel? Look out, men, don't do that." But Jap Hank had already kissed his hand. "Now run along, Sergeant, and don't come back until dinner is ready." "Listen, you must stop this. You will ruin my train." "Bless your heart, Captain. Your train couldn't be no safer with us if it was your own daughter." The man sitting on the floor moved, and Yap Hank cursed him. "Sit still, can't you? Say, this fellow thinks it's night. Suppose you have your hired man bed him down. He's just in the way. Here." The conductor, deciding Lowe was the sober one, addressed him. "For God's sake, soldier, can't you do something with them?" "Sure," said Cadet Lowe. "You run along. I'll look after them. They're all right." "Well, do something with them. I can't bring a train into Chicago with the whole army drunk on it. My God, Sherman was sure right." Yap Hank stared at him quietly. Then he turned to his companions. "Men," he said solemnly, "he don't want us here. And this is the reward we get for giving our flesh and blood to our country's need. Yes, sir, he don't want us here. He begrudges us riding on his train even. Say, suppose we hadn't sprang to the nation's call. Do you know what kind of a train you'd have? A train full of Germans. A train full of folks eating sausage and drinking beer, all going to Milwaukee. That's what you'd have." "Couldn't be worse than a train full of you fellows not knowing where you're going," the conductor replied. All right, yep, Hank answered. If that's the way you feel, we'll get off your goddamn train. Do you think this is the only train in the world? No, the conductor said hastily. Not at all. I don't want you to get off. I just want you to straighten up and not disturb the other passengers. The sitting man lurched clumsily, and Cadet Lowe met interested stares. No, said Yap Hank. No. You have refused the hospitality of your train to the saviors of your country. We could have expected better treatment than this in Germany, even in Texas. He turned to Lowe. Men, we will get off this train at the next station. Hey, General? My God, repeated the conductor. If we ever have another peace, I don't know what the railroads will do. I thought war was bad, but my God. Run along, Yap Hank told him. Run along. You probably won't stop for us, so I guess we'll have to jump off. Gratitude. Where's gratitude when trains won't stop to let poor soldiers off? I know what it means. They'll fill trains with poor soldiers and run 'em off into the Pacific Ocean. Won't have to feed 'em anymore. Poor soldiers. Woodrow, you wouldn't have treated me like this. Hey, what you doing? But the man ignored him, tugging the window up and dragging a cheap paper suitcase across his companion's knees. Before either Lowe or the conductor could raise a hand, he'd pushed the suitcase out the window. All out, men. His sodden companion heaved, clawing from the floor. Hey, that was mine you throwed out. Well, ain't you going to get off with us? We're going to throw 'em all off, and when she slows down, we'll jump ourselves. But you throwed mine off first, the other said. Why, sure, I was saving you the trouble, see? Now don't you feel bad about it. You can throw mine off if you want, and then Pershing here and the Admiral can throw each other's off the same way. You got a bag, ain't you? He asked the conductor. Get yours quick so we won't have so damn far to walk. Listen, soldiers, said the conductor, and Cadet Lowe, thinking of Elba, thinking of his coiling guts and the slow alcoholic fire in him, remarked the splayed official gold breaking the man's cap. New York swam flatly past. Buffalo was imminent, and sunset. Listen, soldiers, repeated the conductor. I got a son in France. 6th Marines, he is. His mother ain't heard from him since October. I'll do anything for you, boys, see, but for God's sake act decent. No, replied the man. You have refused us hospitality, so we get off. When does the train stop, or have we got to jump? No. You boys sit here and behave, and you'll be all right. No need to get off. He moved, swaying down the aisle, and the sodden one removed his devastated cigar. You throwed my suitcase out, he repeated. Yap Hank took Cadet Lowe's arm. Listen, wouldn't that discourage you? God knows I'm trying to help the fellow get a start in life, and what do I get? One complaint after another. He addressed his friend again. Why, sure, I throwed your suitcase off. What you want to do? Wait till we get to Buffalo and pay a quarter to have it took off for you? But you throwed my suitcase out, said the other again. All right, I did. What you gonna do about it? The other pawed himself erect, clinging to the window, and fell heavily over Lowe's feet. For Christ's sake, his companion said, thrusting him into his seat. Watch what you're doing. Get off, the man mumbled wetly. Huh? Get off too, he explained, trying to raise again. He got onto his legs and lurching, bumping and sliding about the open window, he thrust his head through it. Cadet Lowe caught him by the brief skirt of his blouse. Here, come back, you damn fool, you can't do that. Why, sure he can, contradicted Yap Hank. Let him jump off if he wants. He ain't only going to Buffalo anyways. Hell, he'll kill himself. My God, repeated the conductor, returning at a heavy gallop. He leaned across Lowe's shoulder and caught the man's leg. The man with his head and torso through the window swayed, lax and sodden as a meal sack. Yap Hank pushed Lowe aside and tried to break the conductor's grip on the other's leg. Then be. I don't believe he'll jump. But good God, I can't take any chances. Look out. Look out, soldier. Pull him back there. Oh, for Christ's sake, let him go, said Lowe, giving up. Sure, the other amended. Let him jump. I'd kind of like to see him do it since he suggested it himself. Besides, he ain't the kind for young fellows like us to associate with. Good riddance. Let's help him off, he added, shoving the man's lumpy body. The would-be suicide's hat whipped from his head, and the wind temporarily clearing his brain, he fought to draw himself in. He'd changed his mind. His companion resisted, kindly. Come on, don't lose your nerve now. Go on and jump. Help, the man shrieked into the vain wind, and help, the conductor chorused, clinging to him, and 2 alarmed passengers and the porter came to his assistance. They overcame Yap Hank and drew the now thoroughly alarmed man into the car. The conductor slammed shut the window. "Gentlemen," he addressed the 2 passengers, "will you sit here and keep them from putting him out that window? I am going to put them all off as soon as we reach Buffalo. I'd stop the train and do it now, only they'd kill him as soon as they get him alone. Henry," to the porter, "call the train conductor and tell him to wire ahead to Buffalo. We got 2 crazy men on board." "Yeah, Henry," Yap Hank amended to the Negro. "Tell them to have a band there and 3 bottles of whiskey. If they ain't got a band of their own, tell them to hire one. I will pay for it." He dragged a blobby mass of bills from his pocket and, stripping off one, gave it to the porter. "Do you want a band too?" he asked low. "No," answering himself. "No, you don't need none. You can use mine." "Run now," he repeated. "Yes, sir, Captain." White teeth were like a suddenly opened piano. "Watch 'em, man," the conductor told his appointed guards. "You, Henry," he shouted, following the vanishing white jacket. Yap Hank's companion, sweating and pale, was about to become ill. Yap Hank and Lo sat easily, respectively affable and belligerent. The newcomers touched shoulders for mutual support, alarmed but determined. Craned heads of other passengers became again smugly unconcerned over books and papers, and the train rushed on along the sunset. "Well, gentlemen," began Yap Hank conversationally. The 2 civilians sprang like plucked wires, and one of them said, Now, soothingly, putting his hand on the soldier. "Just be quiet, soldier, and we'll look after you. Us Americans appreciates what you've done." "Hank White," muttered the sodden one. "Huh?" asked his companion. "Hank White," he repeated. The other turned to the civilian cordially. "Well, bless my soul, if here ain't old Hank White in the flesh that I was raised with. Why, Hank, we heard you was dead, or in the piano business or something. You ain't been fired, have you? I notice you ain't got no piano with you." No, the man answered in alarm. "You're mistaken. Schluss is my name. I got a swell line of ladies' underthings." He produced a card. Well, ain't that nice? Say," he leaned confidentially towards the other, "you don't carry no women's samples with you?" "No, I was afraid not, but never mind, I'll get you one in Buffalo. Not buy you one, of course. Just rent you one, you might say, for the time being. Horace," to Cadet Lo, "where's that bottle?" "Here she is, Major," responded Lo, taking the bottle from beneath his blouse. Yap Hank offered it to the 2 civilians. "Think of something far, far away and drink fast," he advised. "Why, thanks," said the one called Schluss, tendering the bottle formally to his companion. They stooped cautiously and drank. Yap Hank and Cadet Lo drank, not stooping. "Be careful, soldiers," warned Schluss. "Sure," said Cadet Lo. They drank again. "Won't the other one take nothing?" asked the heretofore silent one, indicating Yap Hank's traveling companion. He was hunched awkwardly in the corner. His friend shook him, and he slipped limply to the floor. "That's the horror of the demon rum, boys," said Yap Hank solemnly, and he took another drink. And Cadet Lo took another drink. He tendered the bottle. No, Schluss said with passion. "Not no more right now." "He don't mean that," Yap Hank said. "You just ain't thought." He and Lo stared at the 2 civilians. "Give him time, he'll come to himself." After a while, the one called Schluss took the bottle. "That's right," Yap Hank told Lo confidentially. "For a while I thought he was going to insult the uniform, but you wasn't, was you?" No, they ain't. No one respects the uniform like I do. Listen, I would have liked to fought by your side, see, but someone got to look out for business while the boys are gone. Ain't that right?" He appealed to Lo. "I don't know," said Lo with courteous belligerence. "I never had time to work any." Come on, Yap Hank reprimanded him. "All of us wasn't young enough to be lucky as you." "How was I lucky?" Lo rejoined fiercely. "Well, shut up about it. If you wasn't lucky, we got something else to worry about." "Sure," Schluss added quickly. "We all got something to worry about." He tasted the bottle briefly, and the other said, "Come on now, drink it." No, thanks. I got plenty." Yap Hank's eye was like a snake's. "Take a drink now. Do you want me to call the conductor and tell him you're worrying us to give you whiskey?" The man gave him the bottle quickly. He turned to the other civilian. "What makes him act so funny?" No, said Schluss. "Listen, you soldiers drink if you want. We'll look after you." The silent one added like a brother, and Yap Shank said, "They think we're trying to poison them. They think we're German spies, I guess." "Oh no, when I see a uniform I respect it like it was my mother." "Then come on and drink." Schluss gulped and passed the bottle. His companion drank also, and sweat beaded them. "Won't he take nothing?" repeated the silent one, and Yap Hank regarded the other soldier with compassion. "Bah, lass, poor Hank," he said. "Poor boy's done for, I fear. The end of a long friendship, men." Cadet Lowe said, "Sure," seeing two distinct Hanks, and the other continued, "Look at that kind, manly face. Children together we was, picking flowers in the flowery meadows. Him and me made the middleweight mule wipers battalion what she was. Him and me devastated France together, and now look at him. Hank, don't you recognize this weeping voice, this soft hand on your brow? General," he turned to Lowe, "will you be kind enough to take charge of their remains? I will deputize these kind strangers to stop at the first harness factory we pass and have a collar suitable for mules made of dogwood with the initials HW in forget-me-nots." Schluss, in ready tears, tried to put his arm about Yap Hank's shoulders. There, death ain't only a parting. Brace up, take a little drink, then you'll feel better." "Why, I believe I will," he replied. "You got a kind heart, buddy. Fall in when fire call blows, boys." Schluss mopped his face with a soiled, scented handkerchief, and they drank again. New York, in a rosy glow of alcohol and sunset, streamed past, breaking into Buffalo, and with fervent new fire in them they remarked the station. Poor Hank now slept peacefully in his spittoon. Cadet Lowe and his friend, being cold of stomach, rose and supported their companions. Schluss evinced a disinclination to get off. He said it couldn't possibly be Buffalo, that he'd been to Buffalo too many times. "Sure," they told him, holding him erect, and the conductor glared at them briefly and vanished. Lowe and Yap Hank got their hats and helped the civilians into the aisle. "I am certainly glad my boy wasn't old enough to be a soldier," remarked a woman passing them with difficulty, and Lowe said to Yap Hank, "Say, what about him?" "Him?" repeated the other, having a touch Schluss to himself. "That one back there," Lowe indicated the casual. "Oh, him. You're welcome to him if you want him. Why, aren't you together?" Outside was the noise and smoke of the station. They saw through the windows hurrying people and porters, and Yap Hank, moving down the aisle, answered, "Hell no, I never seen him before. Let the porter sweep him out or keep him, whichever he likes." They half-dragged, half-carried the two civilians, and with diabolical cunning Yap Hank led the way through the train and dismounted from a day coach. On the platform, Schluss put his arm round the soldier's neck. "Listen, fellas," he said with passion. "You know my name, ye got a drush. Listen, I will show you America appreciates what you done. Old glory ever wave on land and sea. Listen, ain't nothing I got soldier can't have, nothing. And if you wasn't soldiers, I am still for you, 100%. I like you. I swear I like you." "Why, sure," the other agreed, supporting him. After a while he spied a policeman, and he directed his companion's gait towards the officer. Lowe, with his silent one, followed. "Stand up, can't you?" he hissed, but the man's eyes were filled with an inarticulate sadness, like a dog's. "Do the best you can, then." Cadet Lowe softened, added, and Yap Hank stopped before the policeman was saying, "Looking for two drunks, Sergeant? These men were annoying a whole trainload of people. Can't nothing be done to protect soldiers from annoyance? If it ain't top sergeants, it's drunks." "I'd like to see the man can annoy a soldier," answered the officer. "Beat it now." "But say, these men are dangerous. What are you good for if you can't preserve the peace?" "Beat it," I said. "Do you want me to run all of you in?" "You're making a mistake, Sergeant. These are the ones you're looking for," the policeman said. "Looking for?" regarding him with interest. "Sure. Didn't you get our wire? We wired ahead to have the train met." "Oh, these are the crazy ones, are they? Where's the one they were trying to murder?" "Sure, they are crazy. You think a sane man would get himself into this state?" The policeman looked at the four of them with a blasé eye. "Go on now. You're all drunk. Beat it, or I'll run you in." "All right, take us in. If we got to go to the station to get rid of these crazy ones, we'll have to." "Where's the conductor of this train?" "He's with a doctor working on the wounded one." "Say, you men better be careful. What you trying to do, kid me?" Yap Hank jerked his companion up. "Stand up," he said, shaking the man. "Love you like a brother." The other muttered. "Look at him," he said. "Look at both of them. And there's a man hurt on that train. Are you going to stand here and do nothing? I thought you was kidding me. These are the ones, are they? He raised his whistle and another policeman ran up. Here they are, Ed. You watch 'em and I'll get aboard and see about that dead man. You soldiers stay here, see? Sure, Sergeant. Yap Hank agreed. The officer ran heavily away and he turned to the civilians. All right, boys. Here's the bellhops come to carry you out where the parade starts. You go with them, and me and this other officer will go back and get the conductor and the porter. They want to come too. Schluss again took him in his arms. Love you like a brother. Anything's got's yours. Ask me. Sure, he rejoined. Watch 'em, Cap. You're crazy as hell. Now you run along with this nice man. Here, the policeman said. You two wait here. There came a shout from the train, and the conductor's face was a bursting, bellowing moon. Like to wait and see it explode on him, Yap Hank murmured. The policeman supporting the two men hurried towards the train. Come on here, he shouted to Yap Hank and Lo. As he drew away, Yap Hank spoke swiftly to Lo. Come on, General, he said. Let's get going. So long, boys. Let's go, kid. The policeman shouted, Stop there! But they disregarded him, hurrying down the long shed, leaving the excitement to clot about itself for all of them. Outside the station in the twilight, the city broke sharply its skyline against the winter evening, and lights were shimmering birds on motionless golden wings, bell notes in arrested flight. Ugly everywhere, beneath a rumored retreating magic of color. Food for the belly and winter, though spring was somewhere in the world, from the south blown up like forgotten music. Caught both in the magic of change, they stood feeling the spring in the cold air, as if they had but recently come into a new world, feeling their littleness and believing too that lying in rape for them was something new and strange. They were ashamed of this, and silence was unbearable. Well, buddy, and Yap Hank slapped Cadet Lo smartly on the back. That's one parade we'll sure be AWOL from, End of Section 1. Read by Sandra, Montreal, 2022. Soldier's Pay by William Faulkner. Chapter 1, Part 2. Who sprang to be his land's defense and has been sorry ever since? Cadet. Who can't date a single girl long as Kiwis run the world? Cadet. With food in their bellies and a quart of whiskey snugly under Cadet Lo's arm, they boarded a train. Where are we going? Asked Lo. This train don't go to San Francisco, do she? Listen, said Yap Hank. My name is Joe Gilligan. 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 J-O-E. Joe. Joe Gilligan. My people captured Minneapolis from the Irish and taken a Dutch name, see? Did you ever know a man named Gilligan give you a bum steer? If you want to go to San Francisco, all right. If you want to go to St. Paul or Omaha, it's all right with me. And more than that, I'll see that you get there. I'll see that you go to all three of them if you want. But why in hell do you want to go so damn far as San Francisco? I don't, replied Cadet Lo. I don't want to go anywhere especially. I like this train here, as far as I'm concerned. I say let's fight this war out right here. But you see, my people live in San Francisco. That's why I am going there. Why, sure, Private Gilligan agreed readily. Sometimes a man does want to see his family, especially if you don't have to live with them. I ain't criticizing you. I admire you for it, buddy. But say, you can go home any time. What I say is let's have a look at this glorious nation which we have fought for. Hell, I can't. My mother has wired me every day since the armistice to fly low and be careful and come home soon as I am demobilized. I bet she wired the president to have me excused as soon as possible. Why, sure, of course she did. What can equal a mother's love, except a good drink of whiskey? Where's that bottle? You ain't betrayed a virgin, have you? Here she is. Cadet Lo produced it, and Gilligan pressed the bell. Claude, he told its superior porter, bring us 2 glasses and a bottle of sarsaparilla or something. We're among gentlemen today, and we aim to act like gentlemen. What you want glasses for? Asked Lo. Bottle was all right yesterday. You gotta remember we are getting among strangers now. We don't want to offend no savage customs. Wait until you get to be an experienced traveler, and you'll remember these things. 2 glasses, Othello. The porter in his starched jacket became a symbol of self-sufficiency. "You can't drink in this car. Go to the buffet car." "Ah, come on, Claude, have a heart. We don't have no drinking in this car. Go to the buffet car if you want." He swung himself from seat to seat down the lurching car. Private Gilligan turned to his companion. "Well, what do you know about that? Ain't that one hell of a way to treat soldiers? I tell you, General, this is the worst run war I ever seen. Hell, let's drink out of the bottle." No, this thing's gotta be a point of honor now. Remember, we gotta protect our uniform from insult. You wait here and I'll see the conductor. We bought tickets, hey buddy? With officers gone and officers' wives, having a grand old time of their lives. An overcast sky and earth dissolving monotonously into a gray mist grayly, occasional trees and houses marching through it, and towns like bubbles of ghostly sound beaded on a steel wire. Who's in the guardroom chewing the bars, saying to hell with the government wars? Cadet. And here was Gilligan returned, saying, "Charles, at ease." I might have known he would have gotten another one, thought Cadet Lowe, looking up. He saw a belt and wings. He rose and met a young face with a dreadful scar across his brow. My God, he thought, turning sick. He saluted, and the other peered at him with strained distraction. Gilligan, holding his arm, helped him into the seat. The man turned his puzzled gaze to Gilligan and murmured, "Thanks." "Lieutenant," said Gilligan, "you see here the pride of the nation. General, ring the bell for ice water. The lieutenant is sick." Cadet Lowe pressed the bell, regarding with the rebirth of that old feud between American enlisted men and officers of all nations, the man's insignia and wings and brass, not even wondering what a British officer in his condition could be doing traveling in America. Had I been old enough or lucky enough, this might have been me, he thought, jealously. The porter reappeared. "No drinking in this car, I told you," he said. Gilligan produced a bill. "No, sir, not in this car." Then he saw the third man. He leaned down to him quickly, then glanced suspiciously from Gilligan to Lowe. "What y'all doing with him?" he asked. "Oh, he's just a foreigner I found back yonder. Now, Ernest." "Lost? He ain't lost. He's from Georgia. I'm looking after him." "Captain," to the officer, "is these folks all right?" Gilligan and Lowe looked at each other. "Christ, I thought he was a foreigner," Gilligan whispered. The man raised his eyes to the porter's anxious face. "Yes," he said slowly, "they're all right. Does you want to stay here with them, or don't you want me to fix you up in your place?" "Let him stay here," Gilligan said. "He wants a drink." "But he ain't got no business drinking. He's sick." "Loot," Gilligan said. "Do you want a drink?" "Yes, I want a drink, yes. But he oughtn't to have no whiskey, sir." "I won't let him have too much. I'm going to look after him. Come on now, let's have some glasses, can't we?" The porter began again. "But he oughtn't—" "Say, Luke," Gilligan interrupted. "Can't you make your friend here get us some glasses to drink from?" "Glasses?" "Yeah, he don't want to bring us none." "Does you want glasses, Captain?" "Yes, bring us some glasses, will you?" "All right, Captain." He stopped again. "You gonna take care of him, ain't you?" he asked Gilligan. Sure. The porter gone, Gilligan regarded his guest with envy. "You sure gotta be from Georgia to get service on this train. I showed him money, but it never even shook him. Say, General," to Lowe, "we better keep the lieutenant with us, huh? Might come in useful." "Sure," agreed Lowe. "Say, sir, what kind of ships did you use?" "Oh, for Christ's sake," interrupted Gilligan, "let him be. He's been devastating France. Now he needs rest. Eh, Lute?" Beneath his scarred and tortured brow, the man's gaze was puzzled but kindly, and the porter reappeared with glasses and a bottle of ginger ale. He produced a pillow, which he placed carefully behind the officer's head. Then he got 2 more pillows for the others, forcing them with ruthless kindness to relax. He was deftly officious, including them partially in his activities, like fate. Private Gilligan, unused to this, became restive. "Hey, ease up, George. Let me do my own pawing a while. I aim to paw this bottle if you'll give me room." He desisted, saying, "Is this all right, Captain?" "Yes, all right, thanks," the officer answered. "Then bring your glass and get a drink." Gilligan solved the bottle and filled the glasses. Ginger ale hissed sweetly and pungently. "Up and at 'em, men." The officer took his glass in his left hand, and then Lowe noticed his right hand was drawn and withered. "Cheero," he said. "Nose down," murmured Lowe. The man looked at him with poised glass. He looked at the hat on Lowe's knee, and that groping, puzzled thing behind his eyes became clear and sharp as with a mental process, and Lowe thought that his lips had asked a question. "Yes, sir, cadet," he replied, feeling warmly grateful, feeling again a youthful, clean pride in his core. But the effort had been too much, and again the officer's gaze was puzzled and distracted. Gilligan raised his glass, squinting at it. "Here's to peace," he said. "First 100 years is the hardest." Here was the porter again, with his own glass. "Another nose in the trough," Gilligan complained, helping him. The Negro patted and rearranged the pillow beneath the officer's head. "Excuse me, Captain, but can't I get you something for your head?" No thanks, it's all right." "But you're sick, sir. Don't you drink too much." "I'll be careful." "Sure," Gilligan amended. "We'll watch 'em." "Let me pull the shade down. Keep the light out of your eyes." "No, I don't mind the light. You run along. I'll call if I want anything." With the instinct of his race, the Negro knew that his kindness was becoming untactful, yet he ventured again. "I bet you haven't wired your folks to meet you. Why'n't you let me wire 'em for you? I can look after you as far as I go, but who's going to look after you then?" "No, I'm all right, I tell you. You look after me as far as you go. I'll get along." "All right. But I'm going to tell your pa how you're acting some day. You ought to know better than that, Captain," he said to Gilligan and Lowe. "You gentlemen call me if he gets sick." "Yes, go on now, damn you. I'll call if I don't feel well." Gilligan looked from his retreating back to the officer in admiration. "Loot, how do you do it?" But the man only turned on them his puzzled face. He finished his drink, and while Gilligan renewed them, Cadet Lowe, like a trailing hound, repeated, "Say, sir, what kind of ships did you use?" The man looked at Lowe kindly, not replying, and Gilligan said, "Hush, let him alone. Don't you see he don't remember himself? Do you reckon you would with that scar? Let the war be." "Hey, Lieutenant." "I don't know. Another drink is better." "Sure it is. Buck up, General. He don't mean no harm. He's just got to let her ride as she lays for a while. We got all horrible memories of the war. I lose $89 in a crap game once, besides losing, as that wop writer says, that and which thou knowest at Chatter Teary. So how about a little whiskey, men?" "Cheero," said the officer again. "What do you mean, Chateau Teary?" said Lowe, boyish in disappointment, feeling that he had been deliberately ignored by one to whom fate had been kinder than to himself. "You talk about Chatter Teary. I'm talking about a place you were not at, anyway." "I was there in spirit, sweetheart. That's what counts. You couldn't have been there any other way. There ain't any such place." "Hell, there ain't. Ask the Loot here if I ain't right. How about it, Loot?" But he was asleep. They looked at his face, young, yet old as the world, beneath the dreadful scar. Even Gilligan's levity left him. "My God, makes you sick at the stomach, don't it? I wonder if he knows how he looks. What do you reckon his folks'll say when they see him? Or his girl, if he's got one? And I'll bet he has." New York flew away. It became noon within by clock, but the gray, imminent horizon had not changed. Gilligan said, "If he has got a girl, know what she'll say?" Cadet Lowe, knowing all the despair of abortive endeavor, asked, "What?" New York passed on, and Mahone, beneath his martial harness, slept. "Would I sleep?" thought Lowe. "Had I wings, boots, would I sleep?" His wings, indicated by a graceful sweep, pointed sharply down above a ribbon. Purple, white, purple, over his pocket, over his heart, supposedly, Lowe descried between the pinions of a superimposed crown in 3 letters. Then his gaze mounted to the sleeping, scarred face. "What?" he repeated. "She'll give him the air, buddy." "Ah, come on. Of course she won't." "Yes, she will. You don't know women. Once the new has worn off, it'll be some bird that stayed at home and made money, or some lad that wore shiny leggings and never got nowhere so he could get hurt, like you and me." The porter came to hover over the sleeping man. "He ain't got sick, has he?" he whispered. They told him no, and the Negro eased the position of the sleeping man's head. "You gentlemen look after him, and be sure to call me if he wants anything. He's a sick man." Gilligan and Lowe, looking at the officer, agreed, and the porter lowered the shade. "You want some more ginger ale?" "Yes," said Gilligan, assuming the porter's hushed tone, and the Negro withdrew. The two of them sat in silent comradeship, the comradeship of those whose lives had become pointless through the sheer equivocation of events, of the sorry jade circumstance. The porter brought ginger ale, and they sat drinking while New York became Ohio. Gilligan, that talkative, unserious one, entered some dream within himself, and Cadet Lowe, young and dreadfully disappointed, knew all the old sorrows of the Jasons of the world who see their vessels sink ere the harbour's left behind. Beneath his scar the officer slept in all the travesty of his wings and leather and brass, and a terrible old woman paused, saying, "Was he wounded?" Gilligan waked from his dream. "Look at his face," he said fretfully. "He fell off of a chair onto an old woman he was talking to and done the—" "What insolence," said the woman, glaring at Gilligan. "But can't something be done for him? He looks sick to me." "Yes, ma'am, something can be done for him. What we are doing now, letting him alone." She and Gilligan stared at each other, and then she looked at Cadet Lowe, young and belligerent and disappointed. She looked back to Gilligan. She said from the ruthless humanity of money, "I shall report you to the conductor. That man is sick and needs attention." "All right, ma'am, but you tell the conductor that if he bothers him now, I'll knock his goddamn head off." The old woman glared at Gilligan from beneath a quiet, modish black hat, and a girl's voice said, "Let them alone, Mrs. Henderson. They'll take care of him all right." She was dark. Had Gilligan and Lowe ever seen an Aubrey Beardsley, they would have known that Beardsley would have sickened for her. He had drawn her so often, dressed in peacock hues, white and slim and depraved among meretricious trees and impossible marble fountains. Gilligan rose. "That's right, miss. He is all right sleeping here with us. The porter's looking after him," wondering why he should have to explain to her. "And we are taking him home. Just leave him be, and thank you for your interest." "But something ought to be done about it," the old woman repeated futilely. The girl led her away, and the train ran swaying in afternoon. Sure, it was afternoon. Cadet Lowe's wristwatch said so. It might be any state under the sun, but it was afternoon. Afternoon or evening or morning or night. Far as the officer was concerned, he slept. "Damned old bitch," Gilligan muttered, careful not to waken. "Look how you got his arm," the girl said, returning. She moved his withered hand from his thigh. His hand, too, seeing the scrofulous indication of his bones beneath the blistered skin. "Oh, his poor terrible face," she said, shifting the pillow under his head. "Be quiet, ma'am," Gilligan said. She ignored him. Gilligan, expecting to see him wake, admitted defeat, and she continued, "Is he going far?" "This in Georgia," Gilligan said. He and Cadet Lowe, seeing that she was not merely passing their section, rose. Lowe, remarking her pallid distinction, her black hair, the red scar of her mouth, her slim dark dress, knew an adolescent envy of the sleeper. She ignored Lowe with a brief glance. How impersonal she was, how self-contained, ignoring them. "He can't get home alone," she stated with conviction. "Are you all going with them?" "Sure," Gilligan assured her. Lowe wished to say something, something that would leave him fixed in her mind, something to reveal himself to her, but she glanced at the glasses, the bottles at Lowe, feeling a fool, yet clasped. "You seem to be getting along pretty well yourselves," she said. "Snake medicine, miss. But won't you have some?" Lowe, envying Gilligan's boldness, his presence of mind, watched her mouth. She looked down the car. "I believe I will if you have another glass." "Why, sure. General, ring a bell." She sat down beside Mahone, and Gilligan and Lowe sat again. She was young. She probably liked dancing, yet at the same time she seemed not young, as if she knew everything. "She's married and about 25, thought Gilligan. "She's about 19 and she's not in love," Lowe decided. She looked at Lowe. "What's your outfit, soldier?" "Flying cadet," answered Lowe with slow patronage. "Air service." She was a kid. She only looked old. "Oh, then of course you're looking after him. He's an aviator too, isn't he?" Look at his wings, Lowe answered. British. Royal Air Force. Pretty good boys. Hell, said Gilligan. He ain't no foreigner. You don't have to be a foreigner to be with the British or French. Look at Lufbery. He was with the French until we come in. The girl looked at him, and Gilligan, who'd never heard of Lufbery, said, Whatever he is, he's all right. With us, anyway. Let him beat whatever he wants. The girl said, I'm sure he is. The porter appeared. Captain's all right, he whispered, remarking her without surprise, as is the custom of his race. Yes, she told him, he's all right. Cadet Lowe thought, I bet she can dance, and she added, he couldn't be in better hands than these gentlemen. How keen she is, thought Gilligan. She has known disappointment. I wonder if I could have a drink on your car. The porter examined her, and then he said, Yes, ma'am, I'll get some fresh ginger ale. You going to look after him? Yes, for a while. He leaned down to her. I'm from Georgia, too. Long time ago. You are? I'm from Alabama. That's right. We gotta look out for our own folks, ain't we? I'll get you a glass right away. The officers still slept, and the porter, returning, hushed and anxious. They sat drinking and talking with muted voices. New York was Ohio, and Ohio became a series of identical cheap houses with the same man entering gate after gate, smoking and spitting. Here was Cincinnati, and under the blanched flash of her hand he waked, easily. Are we in? He asked. On her hand was a plain gold band, no engagement ring. Pawned it, maybe, thought Gilligan, but she did not look poor. General, get the lieutenant's hat. Lowe climbed over Gilligan's knees, and Gilligan said, Here's an old friend of ours, Lute. Meet Mrs. Powers. She took his hand, helping him to his feet, and the porter appeared. Donald Mahone, he said, like a parrot. Cadet Lowe, assisted by the porter, returned with cap and stick and a trench coat and 2 kit bags. The porter helped him into the coat. I'll get yours, ma'am, said Gilligan, but the porter circumvented him. Her coat was rough and heavy and light of color. She wore it carelessly, and Gilligan and Cadet Lowe gathered up their issued impedimenta. The porter handed the officer his cap and stick, then he vanished with the luggage belonging to them. She glanced again down the length of the car. Where are my— Yes'm, the porter called from the door across the coated shoulders of passengers. I got your things, ma'am. He'd gotten them, and his dark, gentle hand lowered the officer carefully to the platform. Help the lieutenant here, said the conductor officiously, but he'd already got the officer to the floor. You'll look after him, ma'am? Yes, I'll look after him. They moved down the shed, and Cadet Lowe looked back, but the Negro was efficient and skillful, busy with other passengers. He seemed to have forgotten them, and Cadet Lowe looked from the porter occupied with bags and the garnering of quarters and $50 to the officer in his coat and stick, remarking the set of his cap slanting backward bonelessly from his scarred brow, and he marveled briefly upon his own kind. But this was soon lost in the mellow death of evening in a strait between stone buildings among lights, and Gilligan in his awkward khaki and the girl in her rough coat, holding each an arm of Donald Mahone, silhouetted against it in the doorway. End of section 2, read by Sandra, near Montreal, 2021. A Soldier's Pay by William Faulkner, Chapter 1, Part 3. Mrs. Powers lay in her bed, aware of her long body beneath strange sheets, hearing the hushed night sounds of a hotel, muffled footfalls along mute carpeted corridors, discreet opening and shutting of doors, somewhere a murmurous pulse of machinery, all with that strange propensity which sounds anywhere else soothing, have, when heard in a hotel, for keeping you awake. Her mind and body, warming to the old familiarity of sleep, became empty. Then as she settled her body to the bed, shaping it for slumber, it filled with a remembered, troubling sadness. She thought of her husband youngly dead in France in a recurrence of fretful exasperation with having been tricked by a wanton sate, a joke amusing to no one. just when she had calmly decided that they had taken advantage of a universal hysteria for the purpose of getting of each other, a brief ecstasy, just when she had decided calmly that they were better quit of each other with nothing to mar the memory of their 3 days together, and had written him so, wishing him luck, she must be notified casually and impersonally that he'd been killed in action. So casually, so impersonally, as if Richard Powers, with whom she'd spent 3 days, were one man, and Richard Powers commanding a platoon in the X division were another, and she, being young, must again know all the terror of parting, of that passionate desire to cling to something concrete in a dark world, in spite of war departments. He had not even got her letter. This in some way seemed the infidelity, having him die still believing in her, bored though they both probably were. She turned feeling sheets like water, warming by her bodily heat upon her legs. Oh, damn. Damn, what a rotten trick you played on me. She recalled those nights during which they had tried to eradicate tomorrows from the world. 2 rotten tricks, she thought. Anyway, I know what I'll do with the insurance, she added, wondering what Dick thought about it, if he did know or care. Her shoulder rounded upward into her vision. The indication of her covered, turning body swelled and died away towards the foot of the bed. She lay staring down the tunnel of her room, watching the impalpable angles of furniture, feeling through plastered smug walls a rumor of spring outside. The air shaft was filled with the prophecy of April, come again into the world, like a heedless idiot, into a world that had forgotten spring. The white connecting door took the vague indication of a transom and held it in a mute and luminous plane, and obeying an impulse, she rose and slipped on a dressing gown. The door opened quietly under her hand. The room, like hers, was a suggestion of furniture, identically vague. She could hear Mahone's breathing, and she found a light switch with her fingers. Under his scarred brow he slept. The light, full and sudden, on his closed eyes did not disturb him, and she knew in an instinctive flash what was wrong with him, why his motions were hesitating, ineffectual. "He's going blind," she said, bending over him. He slept, and after a while there were sounds without the door. She straightened up swiftly and the noises ceased. Then the door opened to a blundering key, and Gilligan entered supporting Cadet Lowe, glassy-eyed and quite drunk. Gilligan, standing his lax companion upright, said, "Good afternoon, ma'am." Lowe muttered wetly, and Gilligan continued, "Look at this lonely mariner I got here. Sail on, oh proud and lonely." He told his attached and aimless burden. Cadet Lowe muttered again, not intelligible. His eyes were like 2 oysters. "Huh?" asked Gilligan. "Come on, be a man. Speak to the nice lady." Cadet Lowe repeated himself liquidly, and she whispered, "Shh, be quiet." "Oh," said Gilligan with surprise. "Lute's asleep, huh? What's he want to sleep for this time of day?" Lowe, with quenchless optimism, essayed speech again, and Gilligan, comprehending, said, "That's what you want, is it? Why couldn't you come out like a man and say it? Wants to go to bed for some reason," he explained to Mrs. Powers. "That's where he belongs," she said, and Gilligan, with alcoholic care, led his companion to the other bed, and with the exaggerated caution of the inebriate, laid him upon it. Lowe, drawing his knees up, sighed and turned his back to them. But Gilligan, dragging at his legs, removed his puttees and shoes, taking each shoe in both hands and placing it on a table. She leaned against the foot of Mahone's bed, fitting her long thigh to the hard rail until he had finished. At last, Lowe, freed of his shoes, turned, sighing, to the wall, and she said, "How drunk are you, Joe?" "Not very, ma'am. What's wrong? Lute need something?" Mahone slept, and Cadet Lowe immediately slept. "I want to talk to you, Joe, about him," she added quickly, feeling Gilligan stare. "Can you listen, or had you rather go to bed and talk it over in the morning?" Gilligan, focusing his eyes, answered, "Why, now suits me. Always oblige a lady." Making her decision suddenly, she said, "Come in my room, then." "Sure, let me get my bottle, and I'm your man." She returned to her room while he sought his bottle, and when he joined her she was sitting on her bed, clasping her knees wrapped in a blanket. Gilligan drew up a chair. "Joe, do you know he's gone blind?" she said abruptly. After a time, her face became a human face, and holding it in his vision, he said, "I know more than that. He's going to die." "Die?" "Yes, ma'am, if I ever seen death in a man's face, it's in his. God damn this world," he burst out suddenly. "Shh," she whispered. "That's right, I forgot," he said swiftly. She clasped her knees, huddled beneath the blanket, changing the position of her body as it became cramped, feeling the wooden headboard of the bed, wondering why they were not iron beds, wondering why everything was as it was. Iron beds. Why you deliberately took certain people to break your intimacy. Why these people died. Why you yet took others. Will my death be like this, fretting and exasperating? Am I cold by nature, or have I spent all my emotional coppers that I don't seem to feel things like others? Dick, ugly and dead. Gilligan sat brittlely in his chair, focusing his eyes with an effort, having those instruments of vision evade him, slimy as broken eggs. Lights completing a circle, an orbit. She, with two faces, sitting on two beds, clasping four arms around her knees. Why can't a man be very happy or very unhappy? It's only a sort of pale mixture of the two, like beer when you want a shot, or a drink of water. Neither one nor the other. She moved and drew the blanket closer about her. Spring in an air shaft, the rumor of spring, but in a room steam heat suggested winter dying away. "Let's have a drink, Joe." He rose, careful and brittle, and walking with meticulous deliberation, he fetched a carafe and glasses. She drew a small table near them, and Gilligan prepared 2 drinks. She drank and set the glass down. He lit a cigarette for her. "It's a rotten old world, Joe." "You damn right, and dying ain't the half of it." "Dying?" "In this case, I mean. Trouble is, he probably won't die soon enough. Not die soon enough." Gilligan drained his glass. "I got the lowdown on him, see? He's got a girl at home. Folks got him engaged when they was young, before he went off to war. And do you know what she's going to do when she sees his face?" she asked, staring at her. At last, her 2 faces became one face, and her hair was black. Her mouth was like a scar. "Oh no, Joe, she wouldn't do that." She sat up. The blanket slipped from her shoulders, and she replaced it, watching him intently. Gilligan, breaking the orbit of visible things by an effort of will, said, "Don't you kid yourself. I've seen her picture, and the last letter you had from her." "He didn't show them to you," she said quickly. "That's all right about that. I seen 'em." "Joe, you didn't go through his things." "Hell, ma'am, ain't I and you trying to help him? Suppose I did do something that ain't exactly according to Holy Hoyle. You know damn well that I can help him, if I don't let a whole lot of don'ts stop me. And if I know I'm right, there ain't any don'ts or anything else going to stop me." She looked at him, and he hurried on. "I mean, you and I know what to do for him, but if you're always letting a gentleman don't do this and a gentleman don't do that interfere, you can't help him. Do you see? But what makes you so sure she will turn him down?" "Why, I tell you, I seen that letter. All the old bunk about knights of the air and the romance of battle, and that even the fat prying ones outgrow soon as the excitement is over, and uniforms and being wounded ain't only not stylish no more, but it is troublesome. But aren't you taking a lot for granted not to have seen her even?" "I seen that photograph. One of them flighty-looking pretty ones with lots of hair. Just the sort would have got herself engaged to him. How do you know it is still on?" "Perhaps she's forgotten him, and he probably doesn't remember her, you know." "That ain't it. If he don't remember her, he's all right. But if he will know his folks, he will want to believe that something in this world ain't turned upside down." They were silent a while. Then Gilligan said, "I wish I could have known him before. He's the kind of a son I would have liked to have." He finished his drink. "Joe, how old are you?" 32, ma'am." "How did you ever learn so much about us?" she asked with interest, watching him. He grinned briefly. "'Tain't knowing, it's just saying things. I think I done it through practice, by talking so much," he replied with sardonic humor. "I talk so much I gotta say the right thing sooner or later. You don't talk much yourself." "Not much," she agreed. She moved carelessly, and the blanket slipped entirely, exposing her thin nightdress. Raising her arms and twisting her body to replace it, her long shank was revealed, and her turning ankle and her bare foot. Gilligan, without moving, said, "Mom, let's get married." She huddled quickly in the blanket again, already knowing a faint disgust with herself. "Bless your heart, Joe. Don't you know my name is Mrs.? Sure, and I know too you ain't got any husband. I don't know where he is or what you done with him, but you ain't got a husband now. Goodness, I'm beginning to be afraid of you. You know too much. You're right. My husband was killed last year." Gilligan, looking at her, said, "Rotten luck." And she, tasting again a faint warm sorrow, bowed her head to her arched, clasped knees. Rotten luck, that's exactly what it was. What everything is, even sorrow, is a fake now. She raised her face, her pallid face beneath her black hair, scarred with her mouth. "Joe, that was the only sincere word of condolence I ever had. Come here." Gilligan went to her and she took his hand, holding it against her cheek. Then she removed it, shaking back her hair. "You're a good fellow, Joe. If I felt like marrying anybody now, I'd take you. I'm sorry I played that trick, Joe." "Trick?" repeated Gilligan, gazing upon her black hair. Then he said, "Oh," non-committally. "But we haven't decided what to do with that poor boy in there," she said with brisk energy, clasping her blanket. "That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Are you sleepy?" "Not me," he answered. "I don't think I ever want to sleep again." "Neither do I." She moved across the bed, propping her back against the headboard. "Lie down here and let's decide on something." "Sure," agreed Gilligan. "I better take off my shoes first. Ruin the hotel's bed." "The hell with the hotel's bed," she told him. "Put your feet on it." Gilligan lay down, shielding his eyes with his hand. After a time, she said, "Well, what's to be done?" "We got to get him home first," Gilligan said. "I'll wire his folks tomorrow. His old man is a preacher, see? But as that damned girl bothers me, he sure ought to be let die in peace. But what else to do, I don't know. I know about some things," he explained. "But after all, women can guess and be nearer right than whatever I could decide on. I don't think anyone could do much more than you. I put my money on you every time." He moved, shading his eyes again. "I don't know. I'm good so far, but then you gotta have more than just sense. Say, why don't you come with the General and me?" "I intend to, Joe." Her voice came from beyond his shielding hand. "I think I intended to all the time." "She is in love with him." But he only said, "Good for you, but I knowed you'd do the right thing." "All right with your people, is it?" "Yes, but what about money?" "Money? Well, for what he might need, you know. He might get sick anywhere." "Lord, I cleaned up in a poker game and I ain't had time to spend it." "Money's all right, that ain't any question," he said roughly. "Yes, money's all right. You know, I have my husband's insurance." He lay silent, shielding his eyes. His khaki legs, marring the bed, ended in clumsy shoes. She nursed her knees, huddling in her blanket. After a space, she said, "Sleep, Joe?" "It's a funny world, ain't it?" he asked irrelevantly, not moving. "Funny?" "Sure. Soldier dies and leaves you money, and you spend the money helping another soldier die comfortable. Ain't that funny?" "I suppose so. Everything is funny. Horribly funny. Anyway, it's nice to have it all fixed," he said after a while. "He'd be glad you're coming along." Dear dead Dick. Mahone, under his scarf, sleeping. Dick, my dearest one. She felt the headboard against her head, through her hair, felt the bones of her long shanks against her arms, clasping them, nursing them, saw the smug, impersonal room like an appointed tomb in which how many, many discontents, desires, passions had died. High above a world of joy and sorrow and lust for living, high above impervious trees occupied solely with maternity and spring. Dick, Dick, dead, ugly Dick. Once you were alive and young and passionate and ugly. After a time, you were dead, dear Dick. That flesh, that body which I loved and did not love, your beautiful, young, ugly body, dear Dick, became now a seething of worms like new milk, dear Dick. Gilligan, Joseph, late a private, a Democrat by enlistment and numbered like a convict, slept beside her, his boots given him gratis by Democrats of a higher rating among Democrats, innocent and awkward upon a white spread of rented cloth, immaculate and impersonal. She evaded her blanket and, reaching her arms, swept the room with darkness. She slipped beneath the covers, settling her cheek on her palm. Gilligan, undisturbed, snored, filling the room with a homely, comforting sound. Dick, dear, ugly, dead. End of section 3. Read by Sandra. Soldier's Pay by William Faulkner. Chapter 1, parts 4 and 5. 4. In the next room, Cadet Lowe waked from a chaotic dream, opening his eyes and staring with detachment, impersonal as God, at lights burning about him. After a time, he recalled his body, remembering where he was, and by an effort he turned his head. In the other bed, the man slept beneath his terrible face. I am Julian Lowe. I eat, I digest, evacuate, I have flown. This man here, sleeping beneath his scar. Where do we touch? Oh God. Oh God. Knowing his own body, his stomach. Raising his hand, he felt his own undamaged brow. No scar there. Near him upon a chair was his hat, severed by a white band. Upon the table, the other man's cap, with its cloth crown sloping backward from a bronzed, initialed crest. He tasted his sour mouth, knowing his troubled stomach. To have been him, he moaned. Just to be him. Let him take this sound body of mine. Let him take it. To have got wings on my breast. To have wings, and to have got his scar too. I would take death tomorrow. Upon a chair, Mahone's tunic evinced above the left breast pocket, wings breaking from an initialed circle beneath a crown, tipping downward in an arrested embroidered sweep. A symbolized desire. To be him, to have gotten wings, but to have got his scar too. Cadet Lowe turned to the wall with passionate disappointment, like a gnawing fox at his vitals. Slobbering and moaning, Cadet Lowe too dreamed again, sleeping. 5. Achilles. What preparation would you make for a cross-country flight, Cadet? Mercury. Empty your bladder and fill your petrotank, sir. Achilles. Carry on, Cadet. An old play about 1900 and something. Cadet Lowe, waking, remarked Morning and Gilligan entering the room dressed. Gilligan looked at him, said, How you coming, Ace? Mahone yet slept beneath his scar upon a chair, his tunic above the left pocket, wings sweat silkenly, breaking downward above a ribbon, purple, white, purple. Oh, God, Lowe groaned. Gilligan, with the assurance of physical well-being, stood in brisk, arrested motion. As you were, fellow. I'm going out and have some breakfast sent up. You stay here until Loot wakes, huh? Cadet Lowe, tasting his sour mouth, groaned again. Gilligan regarded him. Oh, you'll stay all right, won't you? I'll be back soon. The door closed after him, and Lowe, thinking of water, rose and took his wavering way across the room to a water pitcher. Carafe, like giraffe, or like cafe, he wondered. The water was good, but lowering the vessel, he felt immediately sick. After a while, he recaptured the bed. He dozed, forgetting his stomach, and remembering it, he dreamed and waked. He could feel his head like a dull inflation. Then he could distinguish the foot of his bed, and thinking again of water, he turned on a pillow and saw another identical bed and the suave indication of a dressing gown motionless beside it. Leaning over Mahone's scarred supineness, she said, Don't get up. Lowe said, I won't, closing his eyes, tasting his mouth, seeing her long, slim body against his red eyelids, opening his eyes to light, and her thigh shaped and falling away into an impersonal fabric. With an effort, he might have seen her ankles. Her feet will be there, he thought, unable to accomplish the effort, and behind his closed eyes he thought of saying something which would leave his mouth on hers. Oh God, he thought, feeling that no one had been so sick, imagining that she would say, I love you too, if I had wings and a scar. To hell with officers, he thought, sleeping again. To hell with Kiwis, anyway. I wouldn't be a goddamn Kiwi. Rather be a sergeant. Rather be a mechanic. Crack up, cadet. Hell, yes, why not? War's over. Glad. Oh, God. His scar. His wings. Last time. He was briefly in a jenny again, conscious of lubricating oil and a slow, gracious restraint of braced, plane surfaces, feeling an air blast and feeling the stick in his hand, watching bobbing rocker arms on the horizon, laying her nose on the horizon like a sighted rifle. Christ, what do I care? Seeing her nose rise until the horizon was hidden, seeing the arc of a descending wing expose it again, seeing her become abruptly stationary while a mad world-spinning vortexed about his seat. "Sure, what do you care?" asked a voice, and waking, he saw Gilligan beside him with a glass of whiskey. "Drink it down, General," said Gilligan, holding the glass under his nose. "Oh, God, move it! Move it! Come on now, drink her down, you'll feel better. The loot is up and at 'em, and Mrs. Powers. What you get so drunk for, Ace?" "Oh, God, I don't know," answered Cadet Lowe, rolling his head in anguish. "Leave me alone," Gilligan said. "Come on, drink her now." Cadet Lowe said, "Go away," passionately. "Leave me alone. I'll be all right." "Sure you will, as soon as you drink this." "I can't. Go away. You got to." "You want I should break your neck?" asked Gilligan kindly, bringing his face up, kind and ruthless. Lowe eluded him, and Gilligan, reaching under his body, raised him. "Let me lie down," Lowe implored. "And stay here forever? We gotta go somewheres. We can't stay here." "But I can't drink." Cadet Lowe's interior coiled passionately. "An ecstasy. For God's sake, let me alone." "Ace," said Gilligan, holding his head up, "you got to. You might just as well drink this yourself. If you don't, I'll put it down your throat, glass and all. Here now." The glass was between his lips, so he drank, gulping, expecting to gag, but gulping, the stuff became immediately pleasant. It was like new life in him. He felt a kind sweat, and Gilligan removed the empty glass. Mahon, dressed except for his belt, sat beside a table. Gilligan vanished through a door, and he rose, feeling shaky but quite fit. He took another drink. Water thundered in the bathroom, and Gilligan, returning, said briskly, "Atta boy." He pushed Lowe into the bathroom. "In you go, Ace," he added, feeling the sweet bright needles of water burning his shoulders, watching his body slipping an endless silver sheath of water, smelling soap. Beyond that was her room where she was, tall and red and black and white and beautiful. "I'll tell her at once," he decided, sawing his hard young body with a rough towel. Blowing, he brushed his teeth and hair. Then he had another drink under Mahon's quiet, inverted stare, and Gilligan's quizzical one. He dressed, hearing her moving in her room. "Maybe she's thinking of me," he told himself, swiftly donning his khaki. He caught the officer's kind, puzzled gaze, and the man said, "How are you?" "Never felt better after my solo," he answered, wanting to sing. "Say, I left my hat in her room last night," he told Gilligan. "Guess I better get it." "Here's your hat," Gilligan informed him unkindly, producing it. "Well then, I want to talk to her. What you going to say about that?" asked Cadet Lowe, swept and garnished and belligerent. "Why, sure, General," Gilligan agreed readily. "She can't refuse one of the saviors of her country." He knocked on her door. "Mrs. Powers?" "Yes?" Her voice was muffled. "General Pershing here wants to talk to you." "Sure, all right." He turned about, opening the door. "In you go, Ace." Lowe, hating him, ignored his wink, entering. She sat in bed with the breakfast tray upon her knees. She was not dressed, and Lowe looked delicately away, but she said blandly, "Cheerio, Cadet. How looks the air today?" She indicated a chair, and he drew it up to the bed, being so careful not to seem to stare that his carriage became noticeable. She looked at him quickly and kindly, and offered him coffee. Courageous, with whiskey on an empty stomach, he knew hunger suddenly. He took the cup. "Good morning," he said, with belated courtesy, trying to be more than 19. Why is 19 ashamed of its age? "She treats me like a child," he thought, fretted, and gaining courage, watching with increasing boldness her indicated shoulders, and wondering with interest if she had stockings on. "Why didn't I say something as I came in? Something easy and intimate. Listen, when I first saw you, my love for you was like... My love for you," God, if I only hadn't drunk so much last night, I could say it. My love for you, is like, and found himself watching her arms as she moved and her loose sleeves fell away from them, saying, yes. He was glad the war was over and telling her that he had 47 hours flying time and would have got wings in 2 weeks more and that his mother in San Francisco was expecting him. She treats me like a child, he thought, with exasperation seeing the slope of her shoulders and the place where her breast was. How black your hair is, he said, and she said, Lo, when are you going home? I don't know. Why should I go home? I think I'll have to look at the country first. But your mother, she glanced at him. Oh, well, he said largely. You know what women are, always worrying you. Lo, how do you know so much about things? Women? You aren't married, are you? Me married? Repeated Lo with ungrammatical zest. Me married? Not so's you'd know it. I have lots of girls, but married? He brayed with brief, unnecessary vigor. What made you think so? He asked with interest. Oh, I don't know. You look so mature, you see. Ah, that's flying, does Look at him in there. Is that it? I had noticed something about you. You would have been an ace, too, if you'd seen any Germans, wouldn't you? He glanced at her quickly, like a struck dog. Here was his old dull despair again. I'm so sorry, she said with quick sincerity. I didn't think. Of course you would. Anyway, it wasn't your fault. You did your best, I know. Oh, for Christ's sake, he said, hurt. What do you women want, anyway? I'm as good a flyer as any ever was at the front, flying or any other way. He sat morose under her eyes. He rose suddenly. Say, what's your name, anyway? Margaret, she told him. He approached the bed where she sat, and she said, More coffee? Stopping him dead. You've forgotten your cup. There it is, on the table. Before he thought, he had returned and fetched his cup, received coffee he did not want. He felt like a fool, and being young, he resented it. All right for you, he promised her, and sat again, in a dull rage. To hell with them all. I've offended you, haven't I? She asked. But lo, I feel so bad, and you were about to make love to me. Why do you think that? He asked, hurt and dull. Oh, I don't know. But women can tell, and I don't want to be made love to. Gilligan has already done that. Gilligan? Well, I'll kill him if he's annoyed you. No, he didn't offend me any more than you did. It was flattering. But why were you going to make love to me? You thought of it before you came in, didn't you? Lo told her youngly. I thought of it on the train when I first saw you. When I saw you, I knew you were the woman for me. Tell me, you don't like him better than me 'cause he has wings and a scar, do you? Why, of course not. She looked at him a moment, calculating. Then she said, Mr. Gilligan says he's dying. Dying, he repeated. And dying? How the man managed to circumvent him at every turn, as if it were not enough to have wings and a scar. But to die, Margaret, he said with such despair that she gazed at him in swift pity. He was so young. Margaret, are you in love with him? Knowing that if he were a woman, he would be. No, certainly not. I'm not in love with anybody. My husband was killed on the Aisne, you see, she told him gently. Oh, Margaret, he said with bitter sincerity, I would have been killed there if I could, or wounded like him, don't you know it? Of course, darling. She put the tray aside. Come here. Cadet Lo rose again and went to her. I would have been if I'd had a chance, he repeated. She drew him down beside her, and he knew he was acting the child she supposed him to be, but he couldn't help it. His disappointment and despair were more than everything now. Here were her knees sweetly under his face, and he put his arms round her legs. I wanted to be, he confessed more than he had ever believed. I would take his scar and all, and be dead like he's going to be. But what was death to Cadet Lo, except something true and grand and sad? He saw a tomb open, and himself in boots and belt and pilot wings on his breast, a wound stripe. What more can one ask of fate? Yes, he answered. Why, you've flown too, she told him, holding his face against her knees. You might have been him, but you were lucky. Perhaps you would have flown too well to have been shot down as he was. Had you thought of that? I don't know. I guess I would let them catch me if I could have been him. You're in love with him. I swear I am not. She raised his head to see his face. I would tell you if I were. Don't you believe me? Her eyes were compelling. He believed her. Then, if you aren't, can you promise to wait for me? I'll be older soon, and I'll work like hell and make money. What will your mother say? Hell, I don't have to mind her like a kid forever. I'm 19, old as you are. If she don't like it, she can go to hell. Low, she reproved him, not telling him she was 24. The idea! You go home and tell your mother. I'll give you a note to her, and you can write what she says. But I'd rather go with you. But dear heart, what good will that do? We're going to take him home, and he's sick. Don't you see, darling, we can't do anything until we get him settled, and that you would only be in the way. In the way? He repeated with sharp pain. You know what I mean. We can't have anything to think about until we get him home, don't you see? But you aren't in love with him? I swear I'm not. Does that satisfy you? Then are you in love with me? She drew his face against her knees again. You sweet child, she said. Of course I won't tell you. Yet. And he had to be satisfied with this. They held each other in silence for a time. How good you smell, remarked Cadet Low at last. She moved. Come up here by me, she commanded, and when he was beside her, she took his face in her hands and kissed him. He put his arms around her, and she drew his head between her breasts. After a while, she stroked his hair and spoke. Now, are you going home at once? Must I? He asked vacuously. You must, she answered. Today. Wire her at once, and I will give you a note to her. Oh, hell, you know what she'll say. Course I do. You haven't any sisters and brothers, have you? No, he said in surprise. She moved, and he sensed the fact that she desired to be released. He sat up. How did you know? He asked in surprise. I just guessed. But you will go, won't you? Promise. Well, I will then, but I will come back to you. Of course you will. I will expect you. Kiss me. She offered her face coolly, and he kissed her as she wished, coldly, remotely. She put her hands on his cheeks. Dear boy, she said, kissing him again as his mother kissed him. Say, that's no way for engaged people to kiss, he objected. How do engaged people kiss, she asked. He put his arms around her, feeling her shoulder blades, and drew her mouth against his with the technique he had learned. She suffered his kiss a moment, then thrust him away. Is that how engaged people kiss? She asked, laughing. I like this better. She took his face in her palms and touched his mouth briefly and coolly. I'll swear you'll wire your mother at once. But will you write to me? Surely. But swear you will go today, in spite of what Gilligan may tell you. I swear, he answered, looking at her mouth. Can't I kiss you again? When we're married, she said, and he knew he was being dismissed. Knowing that she was watching him, he crossed the room with an air, not looking back. Here were yet Gilligan and the officer. Mahon said, Morning, old chap. Gilligan looked at Low's belligerent front from a quizzical reserve of sardonic amusement. Make a conquest, hey, Ace? Go to hell, replied Low. Where's that bottle? I'm going home today. Here she is, General. Drink deep. Going home, he repeated. So are we. Eh, Lute? End of section 4, read by Sandra.